Christian Zionism, as I would define it, is a support for the modern state of Israel as a partial fulfillment of God's promise to the Jewish people to provide a national homeland for them, and its anticipation of the ultimate fulfillment when the Messiah comes. But it's basically a support for Israel, modern state of Israel. That's not to say it's a blank check for everything that they do, but it is to say that that this existence, this entity known as the state of Israel, is something that has been created by God, and that while its leadership may be flawed like all leadership is, like humanity is, it is nevertheless something that has been created by God in His time and for His purposes.
Okay.
Well, I believe the Bible, number one, and I believe that there is to accurately understand the Bible, you have to take it at face value. You have to take it as literally as it is given. And as you would read the newspaper and the headlines of the newspaper, you would take that as an attempt to literally convey truth. And I see the Bible as that. And I think when you view the Bible as that, that there's only one conclusion you can come to with regard to Israel, and that is that, as I've said, that there is a covenant promise that God has made to the Jews with regard to the land. It includes the land, it includes other promises as well. So I take it literally. That's how that's the way that I come to my view of Christian Zionism. Well, I can't speak for all Christian Zionists at this point, but we, in the Jerusalem Connection, we support those issues that are biblically related. We're not interested so much in whether Israel has health care. We're not interested in whether Israel has cap and trade, or what their environmental concerns are, what their economic concerns are. But we support Israel in matters related to biblical issues, and a very direct biblical issue is the whole issue of the land. Who gets the land? The Obama administration, the Bush administration, supported a two-state solution, a divided Jerusalem. Their policy has been land for peace. And those are biblically related issues, and we speak to those issues. We don't believe Jerusalem should be divided. About the biblical issues that modern Israel faces. And as I say, not every issue has biblical importance, but we do think that the land, for example, the West Bank, referred to the West Bank. Biblically, that refers to Judea and Samaria, which is the heartland of Israel, and that is an issue that we will speak to, and we have continued to speak to. We're against that. There are Jews who are for that. The Obama administration is for that. The Bush administration is for that. We are against that on biblical grounds. So I would say that we support the issues that are biblically related with regard to Israel. Well, for example, we had a proclamation in support of Israel that we sent out to our constituency prior to the election, this last election. And we submitted the results of that to both the McCain group and as well as to the Obama people. The issue with regard to sanctions on Iran, we think that that's biblically related, because Iran has said that they want to, or the president, Ahmadinejad, has said he wants to wipe Israel off the map. And so we've supported our Congress and those who are moving towards sanctions toward Iran for that purpose. And so some political involvement, certainly, but we have a number of other projects that we're involved in. We have our Operation Aliyah. Aliyah means to go up in Hebrew, and it's the term that's used for Jews returning to the land of Israel, going there. We have supported that. We helped support some 80,000 Jews coming out of the former Soviet Union in the 90s and early 2000. We support those Hispanic Jews, for example, in the Americas that want to go back. We have an Elisha Fund that we call, and that's to help the needy and those who are oppressed in Israel. We have a Life for Israel project that we support. The pro-life movement in Israel, we support that. So there are a number of different projects that we're involved in as well that are not politically related, but we do have some efforts that are focused on issues within our Congress that are related to Israel that we'll support or not support, as the case may be. Well, it depends on who you talk to. Our best friends are those Jews, largely Orthodox Jews, who read the Scriptures, who have an understanding of the Scriptures, and they come to the same conclusions we do. Some of our strongest supporters have been Jews who would fit that definition. Liberal Jews do not like us. And most of American Jewry would be considered liberal. 78% of American Jewry voted for Obama. 6%, well, it's down now to about 3% of Israelis are supportive of Obama. So that would give you some indication of where that political landscape lies today. But I think that in the United States, those who are concerned from a biblical standpoint, I just talked with a dear friend of ours in New York, Jewish man, not a Christian, Jewish man who has been very supportive of our efforts, and we of theirs, Americans for a Safe Israel. But they are in the minority. There's been a very controversial book that just came out recently, the last part of 2009, by John Podhoretz, entitled "Why Are Jews Liberal?" And it's a very lengthy discussion and very insightful discussion as to why that is the case. And it's basically that his conclusion is basically that liberalism has become the religion of liberal Jews rather than Judaism, rather than the Torah, the Bible being its final authority. The basic tenets of liberalism are the guiding forces in much of Jewry today. So it depends on who you ask as to who supports us. Christian Zionism, the present Prime Minister, Prime Minister Netanyahu, has been very favorable toward Christian Zionists and the efforts of Christian Zionists. He sees us as great friends of Israel. So, depends on who's at the helm.